The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on a break!
With Ambar Garcia, Brian Broaddus, Patrick Walker, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Monday, November 13th, 2023, season 19, episode number 69. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We are live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Today we talk about Cowboys' big victory, 49-17 over the listless Giants. That was a game that I guess we all expected that, and you kind of were just hoping the Dallas wouldn't overlook them. They certainly did not. Came out and gave their very, very best effort and put them away fairly early, as we all expected they would. Let's start first with storylines of the game. Is there a storyline in this game other than total domination?
It's the wrong show.
Huh?
Wrong show. That's another show.
Oh.
That's Nick's show.
Oh, storyline. She caught that.
Sorry.
Well, that means you got to start off now.
She feels some kind of way about storyline, just for the record.
Oh, no.
Now you're out there. Let's go.
Great win, for sure. Fun. Definitely fun to watch. It's one of those non-stressful games that you're watching. But at the same time, I got to keep reminding myself it is the Giants. You know, one of those things like, okay, yeah, great, but let's keep it real. Yeah. And it's wonderful when you see the offense work that way with all of their receivers. It's great to see Dak playing the way that he's continuously playing week after week. I think his game, regardless of the opponent, I think he's doing really, really good. And there's not much hate you can give him in the last few weeks as far as the game that he's been presenting. And just seeing players like Michael Gallup keep blowing out and playing the way that he is. Brandin Cooks just now getting accustomed and acclimated and being now a true part of this offense. And as well as Michael Gallup, kind of, again, one of those things that you cannot dismiss Michael Gallup when he has bad games and all that. Then he comes back and has one or two plays that you're like, okay, yeah, that's Michael Gallup, and that's why he's here. So all in all, just great effort and everything that they did, the offense, but I would love to see that carry over in games that are against better teams.
I mean, it's a laundry list of headlines that we can pull from this, but and of course Cooks being one of the biggest ones, but I'm going to go right to the offensive line play. It was much improved yesterday. And yes, it is against the Giants. It was against the Giants, but it's the same Giants front that had, before he left the game with concussion, Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence in the middle. And they only allowed 5 pressures on Dak Prescott. Yeah. No sacks. Terrence Steele had a strong bounce-back game. Was it perfect? No, it was not. You could talk about the first offensive possession on that goal-to-go. He had one or two decisions to make on that final 4th and goal. He could have taken the pass rusher, or he could have taken the linebacker, and he went to the linebacker, and that's why that run didn't get in. But outside of that, he played very well. You talk about Michael Gallup, for example, that 40-plus yard touchdown pass down the right side to Michael Gallup. That does not happen if Steele doesn't drop his anchor and protect Dak Prescott's front side. So that gave Dak the confidence to stand in there and make that throw. So for all of the rightful criticism that we've given the offensive line over the past several weeks, Terrence Steele as well, they had a very strong bounce-back game, and Dak did the rest. Brandin Cooks, CeeDee Lamb, they just went crazy, and then the fun got spread around from there with Jake Ferguson and Michael Gallup and Jalen Brooks as well. I mean, the undrafted rookie gets out there, and he makes several catches for several plays. So another offensive explosion for the Cowboys, difference being that this was not a game of inches. This was, like you said, Derek, domination from minute one.
Smothered a rookie quarterback. You know, they didn't really give him any opportunity. Even when you start getting sacks on 3-step drops and, you know, plays like that, then you know you're doing a pretty good job. Felt like on the outside, with the one big opportunity that the Giants had, the Cowboys were able to intercept the ball because Hyatt had gotten past Gilmore, and he was past hooker. And it's just a great read. That's what you have with Deron Bland on the other side of the field. Is you have a guy when his guy drives down inside and now he just turns and he looks and he sees a guy streaking up the middle of the field, and he's able to adjust and get over across from and make the play like he did. That just shows you got a very aware player, and you got a defense that's locked in. They just did not give them anything running the football. They really didn't give them anything throwing the ball as well. They mixed up the way their pressures, the way they played their front. Tank got the Micah Parsons sack where you line up over the center, and then so they were just moving guys around, trying some different looks, and it worked out really, really well for them. But good job of not allowing them to get any kind of momentum yesterday in that football game on offense.
Yeah, I don't think we can talk about this game without really starting with Dak Prescott. The way that he played yesterday, and really the way he's played over the last 3 weeks. He's had now the past 3 games, he's had 304 yards, 374 yards, 404 yards yesterday. He's had 11 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Really has, in my opinion, in these 3 games, has put this offense on his back, because the running game has not really been there in the way that you would expect it to. And what we all expected was the running game and the defense were going to be the strengths of this team. Really, over the last 3 weeks, what we've seen is Dak Prescott and his arm are the reason why they are playing such good football offensively. How much credit do you give him for that? I know obviously this was the Giants, but when you look at the last few games, how much credit are you giving him for now taking the team and putting it on his back?
He moved the ball against Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And again, they didn't have a running game in the Philadelphia game. I think the Cowboys are doing a much better job of, there was a time during the Jason Garrett administration where they wouldn't take advantage of bad teams, where they wouldn't take advantage if you had a weakness in your secondary, or you had a weakness on your offensive line, or you had a weakness. It seemed like that the Jason Garrett teams just would never just say, okay, you're not good at this, and we're going to hammer you on it. And I think where Dak has done a really good job is the fact, there was pressure in the Philadelphia game last week, but their secondary got compromised in that game. And what did he do? He kept throwing the ball, and he was getting hit, but he was throwing the ball. And I think that's where we're at right now is this Cowboys offense with McCarthy and Schottenheimer and the guys. They're going to route combination you now. They're going to throw the ball down the field. If you're bad in certain spots, they're going to take advantage of it. And I think that's the great thing about it is that to me is what football's all about. If you're not good enough, and you just keep running the same guys out there every snap, then you deserve to get punished for playing that way. And that's what the Cowboys have been doing offensively. I
give a ton of credit to Dak, obviously, and I love what Mike McCarthy's doing play calling wise, but I don't think play calling was the issue for the majority of while the offense was struggling, or when it was struggling. It was execution, like we talked about. But if you go back to the Chargers game and Dak Prescott finally going full dirty Dak, as I like to call him, using his legs, extending the play, trying to will the offense to a victory like he did in Los Angeles, then of course you saw what he did with taking the next step with this offense with the Rams. Goes to Philadelphia. Yeah, you lose that game of inches, but moved the ball very well against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now the question, and you brought it up after the drubbing at the hands of the 49ers, was can Dak Prescott handle man coverage? Okay, well, now we are in yet another week in which he has surgically dissected man coverage. He had 404 total yards against the Giants, 200 of those yards, and 3 of his 4 passing touchdowns against man coverage. So now that Dak Prescott and his playmakers, they're getting the separation, they're making the plays, you're not seeing many drops here or there. That's going to make this offense that much more dangerous because they were already lethal against zone coverage. But if they're equally as lethal against man coverage, I mean, that's really good luck to opposing defenses going forward.
Where I'll disagree with you is that Dak Prescott, the first 5 weeks of the season, they had the lowest air yards of any. Them and the Colts were the 2 lowest air yard teams in the league. I mean, him and Richardson, the quarterback, something's changed. Whether it was CeeDee Lamb's, maybe after the San Francisco game, I know they didn't have the opportunity to practice, but somebody made an effort to say we need to play differently. We need to play differently offense because you occasionally see, like yesterday, maybe 1 or 2 slants. The first 4 or 5 weeks, it was slant flat, slant flat, slant flat all day. The ball wasn't going down the field. And now you see routes. Yesterday was the first time that we saw with Cooks just run a straight vertical route, no safety help in the middle of the field, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, just take off. Dak lays it out there. The pass to Gallup down the field. I mean, the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, this offense, somebody made a decision not to open things up for Dak Prescott.
Wait. So are we saying that the Cowboys are attacking deep middle down the field?
No, I'm saying they're just attacking down the field.
No, they are though. That's my point. You're correct, but they're also.
But they're not. But you were saying that to me offensively there was something not right, whether it's play calling or scheme the first several weeks.
But I agree with that, because if you go back several episodes when we were talking about one of the Science Lab episodes was when I said the Cowboys need to attack deep middle and stop forcing teams to or allowing teams to attack only.
No, I was just
2/3.
commenting about the fact that you said it wasn't a play calling issue. That's what I'm like. To me, it was a play calling issue. When they got to after the San Francisco game, they decided that we've got to play more open here.
But in the Chargers game, the Rams game, well, not necessarily the Eagles game because we saw a couple of deep middles. But in the Chargers and the Rams game, they still were not attacking deep middle. We're seeing that now versus the Eagles.
There was more passes going down the field. The last 4 or 5 weeks, we've seen more passes down the field. I'd say the first 4 games of the season, we didn't see that.
Right. If you remember, going back to the early part of the season, we actually did those breakdowns using the next gen stats,
right.
And we were showing they were basically, it was all underneath stuff. It was all underneath. But I agree with both of you to some degree, because Brian, I think the way I look at it is, I think what happened was, I think these things were always in the offense. I think that at some point they said, we're not doing our quarterback. I think when they went into the season, they said we're going to ease into this new offense, and we're going to give Dak time to kind of get acclimated to it. I think at some point they said, screw that. Let's just go.
Yeah.
Let's just go. Let's just open it up and let's see what happens. And I think when they opened it up, they realized, okay, we got this. The quarterback knows what he's doing. He can make these throws. The receivers can get open. You can make things happen, especially if you're going to utilize the skills of a CeeDee Lamb and not just kind of whenever go to the open man. You're literally going to get the ball to him and make an effort to get the ball to him, even in situations where he may look like he's covered, like in the instance yesterday, we makes the one-hand catch. He's clearly covered on that play. Mm-hmm. You throw the ball where he can make a play, he makes a play. I think that's what's happened as the season's going on, is that more people, all of them have gotten comfortable with this offense to the point where the coaches are also comfortable. And Mike even talked about it after the game yesterday. He was like, we have gotten better as coaches as the season has worn on, of knowing what we should be calling, when we should be calling, and trusting these guys to make the plays.
But that's what I'm saying. I think it was after the San Francisco game where they sat down and they said, we've got to do something differently here. We can't sit here and just expect to keep throwing the ball underneath. And they have a quarterback that, and he's shown that the last 4 weeks, that he's capable if you open things up for him and you're not worried about interceptions and you're not worried about, he's going to be accurate and make throws. I mean, he's punishing. You're right. I mean, he punishes people zone. Man, it hasn't mattered.
Yeah.
But his eyes are down the field and the ball's down the field.
And that's where I think we have a small divide. A divide nonetheless, but a small divide. The reason I say it's not as much play calling, and which is why I said a lot of credit to Dak Prescott, because if you go back and you look at San Francisco and pre-San Francisco, those routes were down the field. They were open down the middle. They were open deep. You saw Jake Ferguson deep down the middle, open, ball wouldn't go to him. CeeDee Lamb down the middle, deep, ball wouldn't go to him. The question was, would Dak become comfortable with pulling that trigger again? And now he's become comfortable with pulling that trigger, which a lot of it goes to rust as well.
There's no reason for a veteran quarterback not to pull the trigger.
I mean, I agree with that.
The guy yesterday for the Giants didn't pull the trigger on 3-step drop.
I agree. There was no reason for him to not pull the trigger outside of PTSD from most of his interceptions coming deep middle.
Or Mike McCarthy and the coach is saying, we're going to attack underneath.
Or a combination of the two.
And could it also be partially that as Dak was getting acclimated to this offense, maybe he wasn't making it that far into the read. Maybe he was getting to the quick and easy throw, and he was making the quick and easy throw. I don't know.
There was so much thought
which could also go to the offensive line flux at that time.
There was so much thought about getting the ball out of his hand.
Yeah.
It was ad nauseum they talked about that. Right. And to me, this offense now is better, whether it's stuff that they went back and are trying to – you actually do see combinations of routes that get guys open. You see Dak Prescott, they run two slants as a pick, and he throws the ball to the right guy. You're starting to see things that I didn't see in the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, the way that they're operating right now.
And frankly, they still have a lot of quick passes in this offense. Like, this is still a rhythm offense. It's just that now, as you said, Brian, he knows when those opportunities are there, and he's looking downfield, and he's finding those when he knows that they're there. And he's making that play yesterday to CeeDee Lamb down the field, where basically he had him running a route, but CeeDee was kind of slowing down and waiting, and he said, go. And CeeDee immediately took off, and he hits him downfield. Like, those are the kind of things where I think that was all a Dak engineered moment where he's like, hey, that safety's already taken by Cooks, who's coming across the field. You got opportunity downfield, go. And I'm just going to loft it up, and you go get it.
And another example of that would be in one of the handful of times where he was actually pressured and then hit, and I posted the clip on Twitter last night. That big gainer took Cooks over the middle that ends up on, over on the sideline. Dak stands in there, sees Dexter Lawrence coming, and he just grown man throw. He puts that on a dot, and it's a huge play. Now, does he make that play earlier in the season, first 3 or 4 weeks? Probably not, which goes to what I was saying. I felt like he needed to be more comfortable in just trusting the playmaker would make the play. Stand in there, make the throw, because thankfully yesterday the offensive line gave him protection quite a bit, actually. But in the times they didn't, he still trusted that his playmaker would make the play. Hell, that was that particular play. CeeDee Lamb, Dak steps in the pocket breaks down. He's like, the hell with this. He runs out right, and he's like, I'm just going to throw to that open spot. CeeDee Lamb turns around, comes back, and gets the ball. It's a big play. That's the kind of game that Dak Prescott in this offense can have when the trust is there and when Dak is willing to pull the trigger.
Yeah, he admitted he was trying to throw that ball away.
Yeah.
Lamb just was able to get away from Holmes. That was a good play on his part.
I think what it took was CeeDee getting pissed and getting mad on the sideline that one game. And after that, they came back, and since then, they've been better offensively. And I don't know what happened there, but they make it work. They made it work. And everyone listening to this podcast, they know the full trajectory of Dak Prescott since the moment he got here. They know how much help he had from the O-line, Zeke, everybody else. We also have seen the transition of players being gone and you getting new talent. You've seen the transition of changes in coaching staff. Also, now the change in the scheme and everything. You've moved every single part possible but your quarterback. So this is the moment where, okay, now it's all fully on Dak. And I think now he's fully shown what it looks like without even a running game. He's not getting help from the run game. So he's taking on that. And that's what it's been impressive for me to see and what I've been hoping and wanting to see from him. And we've gone like 3 weeks. One is now consistent. It's becoming something consistent. Him being able to just feel comfortable. You don't see him going back to last year or hesitant, second guessing, being cautious because of that previous injury. He's comfortable again. He's using his legs, escaping and running whenever he can or sees needed and possible, and just feeling more comfortable with his receivers, just being everybody on the same page. So I think he's currently doing everything that everyone has been asking for him to do as the quarterback.
All right, we're going to take our first break. We'll come back. We'll keep talking about this game. We're going to talk a little about the receivers and the running game. What's going on with the running game? They had a good overall total production day from the standpoint of the numbers, but there still are some things that make you question. We're going to talk about that when we come back. DallasCowboys.com review.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Cowboys fans, after that move, we've just coined the term Rowdy Replay. Let's roll back the tape.
Okay, there's our mascot Rowdy cheering on the boys. And now he's on his phone, on his Bank of America mobile banking app?
Staying on top of his finances with his virtual financial assistant, Erica.
Bank of America's digital tools are so impressive. Cowboys fans just can't stop banking. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/can't stop banking.
Erica is only available in in the English language. You must download the latest version of the mobile banking app, only available on select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. Member FDIC.
Welcome back into Dear Doctor, the show where I answer life's questions with an ice-cold can of Dr. Pepper. Sheila, let's hear from our next caller, would you?
Dear Doctor, my friend supported me during a tough time, but what's the right gift that says, thanks for being a shoulder to cry on?
Okay, this one's easy. I say give her a delicious Dr. Pepper. Nothing says, thanks, girl, better than a one-of-a-kind soda. Yes, any Dr. Pepper flavor will do. Now, just a reminder that I don't need to be a real doctor to know that Dr. Pepper is the one you deserve.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Back to the break.
The Salvation Army's 27th annual Red Kettle Kickoff returns to AT&T Stadium this Thanksgiving. Get excited to watch the one and only Dolly Parton rock the stage during the halftime when your Dallas Cowboys go head-to-head with the Washington Commanders. Tune in at 3:30 on CBS.
Welcome back. It is the second segment of the break. We are live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We're talking the Cowboys win over the Giants 49-17. They scored a total of, 89 points in 2 games and only allow 17. That's pretty.
I think Blockchain would be pretty proud of that effort, to be honest with you.
And that's why this segment is brought to you by Blockchain.com.
Proud of that effort, I think.
My guy, Brian. Well, I'm glad I got you here with me.
Yeah.
All right, let's
do pay bills.
Yeah, let's continue talking about this offense. They do. Let's talk about the receivers. Yesterday we had 2 huge performances. Yeah. And I'll ask you guys this question. Check out these numbers. So you had, on the one hand, Brandin Cooks goes 9 catches for 173 yards and a touchdown. By far his best production of the season. Right. CeeDee Lamb goes 11 catches, 151 yards, a touchdown. He also has a rush for a 14-yard touchdown as well. He is the first player in NFL history to have 3 back-to-back-to-back games for 150 yards and 10-plus catches. Which was more impressive to you?
Is his price keep going up every time?
It just keeps moving.
It's on a price ain't yesterday's.
Brian, I think you were the one that was like, it's like the price and right.
The yodeler. Yeah, we got the yodeler guy.
He's just moving right on up, right
and
on
then
up.
We're going to fall over the cliff.
Oh, my God.
Today's price ain't yesterday's price, Amber.
No.
It's always going to be, obviously, what Cooks did, impressive, needless to say. He fell only 14 yards shy of breaking his single-season career high as far as most receiving yards in a game. But we're talking about NFL history. And NFL history being made is always going to be the more impressive of when compared against anything. So seeing the heater that CeeDee Lamb is on. And I like what Dak Prescott said yesterday in the press conference. He said he's not going to describe what CeeDee Lamb is doing as being on a heater. He feels this is what CeeDee Lamb looks like. And I like that. I like it a lot. So when it comes to that, I mean, something clicked after the San Francisco game, and CeeDee Lamb has been playing out of his mind through these past several games.
I'm tired of this.
Yeah, he has been the best receiver in the NFL in these past several games. So and especially when you look at how storied the NFL is, when you look at how storied the Cowboys are as a franchise, as far as wide receivers that have come through here, to see him achieve that. And we still have several more games to go in this regular season for him to do it again. And he's about to go against a Panthers team who, if the Cowboys don't play down the competition, he might have another shot at it. So, yeah, CeeDee Lamb, he made NFL history. That's going to take the crown from me.
Yeah, they're going to need other guys to step up, too, because not everybody is going to be the New York Giants out there playing in the secondary. I mean, teams are going to try and figure out, and CeeDee even said it after the game, that he's facing his share of double teams, and he's right about that. He's doing a great job. I think the most impressive thing about these wide receivers is how well they complement each other and help each other when it comes to route running. And you're seeing that a lot better. You know, we mentioned the crossing route that he had when he had a 25-yard gain. And when you watch the play, it's really 2 clear-out routes. Gallup and Lamb get up the field, and then McLeod is playing man coverage. And he can't stay with Cooks because you got the clear outs, which clears the area. Now you got a crosser coming all the way. And then Dak, we all know when Dak runs to his left or moves to his left and he can square his shoulders, he can throw a really good ball. Yeah. And so, that's the thing that I've really am impressed by, that it's just like, you got others as like Lamb is having this incredible run here, but what's he's doing? He's running a clear out, Gallup running a clear out. Taking their guys, not being lazy, getting up the field, doing what you're supposed to do. Patrick talked about a little bit of offense with some execution and stuff like that. That's what you got to have. If you're going to be successful with these huge chunk plays, it's usually somebody else doing some dirty work to get the ball. And that's what the Cowboys did yesterday with their receivers.
Real quick, and before you throw that in, I also want to say it was a similar thing on that play I was talking about earlier where Lamb goes downfield and Dak tells him keep going.
Right.
I mean, it was Cooks that came across on the crossing route. He occupies that safety, so the safety can't go deep with CeeDee.
Right.
He's got to take a choice. And it was one of the things we talked about after the San Francisco game where I was like, they weren't doing enough, in my opinion, in the offensive scheme of forcing defenders to have to make a decision. Force a safety into a situation where he said, I got to take one of these two guys, and somebody's going to be open. Somebody's going to have an opportunity. And I thought that's what we saw yesterday. We saw a number of times where safeties were having to make a choice. And whatever choice they made, Cowboys took advantage of the other.
I'm glad Jerry got to convince him to wear number 88 jersey because he fits right in. He just looks so natural and comfortable. And a lot of times I'm watching, and there are many plays that I don't think he's gonna catch. And not because I think anything less of him, but because you just think, oh no, he's double teamed like you mentioned, and then he catches it. I'm like, damn.
The one-handed catch was ridiculous.
It was amazing. Yeah. It was amazing.
Getting interfered. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
They're holding his arm.
That's why he only had one hand.
I see the catch he made, and I think you guys remember this one. He pivots inside, and then he goes horizontal. And usually they try and scoop that ball.
Yeah.
He put his hands and went over the top of it. Yep. And that just shows you right there how locked in he is, that he can lay horizontally and the ball and be going away and turn around and catch the ball.
Strong hands.
Yeah. And the one-handed catch was great, but it was almost like he was a soccer goalie trying to stop a ball. But the way he was able to put – the only chance he had was to turn his hands over, and he did. I mean, that quickly he made the adjustment and caught the football. It was one of the best catches I've seen in a long time by a receiver, having to adjust and go back and try and get a football.
And, Brian, you talk about a guy being in the zone. Dak Prescott, when he tried to throw the ball out of the back of the end zone, here's CeeDee Lamb.
I don't know where he came from.
Yeah, here's CeeDee Lamb coming out of nowhere, nearly making another spectacular one-handed grab with the defender draped all over him. So CeeDee Lamb is in one of those zones where if the ball is anywhere near him, you just have to assume now he's going to figure out a way to get that ball.
This is Oklahoma CeeDee Lamb. When they drafted
no
him,
question.
I was like, man, if this dude is what he was in college, he's going to be remarkable. And he's reaching that plateau now. He's one of those guys, you get the ball in his hands. You find a way to get the ball in his hands because he makes things happen when he gets the ball in his hands. All right, let's talk about the running game. This is an area where the Cowboys, you know what? Actually, we're going to take a little break because I know this conversation is probably going to last a bit longer. We're going to take our final break. We'll come back. Let's talk about the rushing game, talk about Rico Dowdle and Tony Pollard. We'll be back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Don't put off getting your oil changed, Dallas. Take 5 Oil Change. A proud partner of the Cowboys is faster than you think. There's no appointment needed and no waiting room. Yep, you heard that correctly. Take 5 is so fast, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can take advantage of Take 5's fast, friendly, and simple service at any of their locations across the Dallas area. And remember, at Take 5, you stay in your car because they're They're faster than you think. Take 5, the official oil change of the Dallas Cowboys.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Back to the break.
'Tis the season for youth football and dance camps presented by Invisalign. Don't miss your chance to learn from the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders and former NFL players at AT&T Stadium on December 22nd and 23rd. Celebrate the holidays with the Cowboys. Register today at DallasCowboys.com/camps.
Welcome back. Merry Christmas to everyone. It's that time of the year.
Can we get Thanksgiving? We've had this conversation.
Same thing.
Stop skipping holidays.
Same thing. All right. We are back. It is the final segment of the break.
Both days, really, aren't you?
Yeah, we will.
Hey, in Miami. Everyone wants to go to Miami for Christmas, right?
There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Look, he looked dead at you, Amber.
Yeah.
Are you?
No, I want to be home. I want to be in my house with my warm heater on.
Miami and Christmas.
It's going to be warm in Miami.
You'll be fine.
It'll be 85.
Yeah. Be that one time when it was pouring down sideways in that game in Miami.
And then 3 minutes later, it'll be sun and hot.
Oh, God, it was just
That's Miami.
Baking out there.
That's
Take
Miami.
me any other day of the year, but around Christmas.
You're out on that one.
Are we gonna fake an injury that day? What are we gonna do?
Oh, yeah.
Tyron Smith, maybe?
Illness.
Yeah, y'all might not see me.
Is COVID still a thing? You're going to be like, do I need to wear my mask?
She got her mask on all week, yeah.
All right, here we go. Let's talk about the running game. Yesterday, got Rico Dowdle, 12 carries for 79 yards, a 6.6 average, and a touchdown. Tony Pollard, 15 carries, 55 yards, a 3.7 average. I guess my first question is there something that you've discerned from what you've seen, whether you're watching the game live or watching it back on tape, that gives you an indication why Dowdle is so much more successful in this game, particularly running the ball, than Tony Pollard was?
Just go ahead.
No,
No, you've been analyzing this play that you want to talk about on the show.
That's not what a host does. A host lobs it up and then lets everybody else take a chance.
This is like the old show Perry Mason. He was a lawyer. Right. Perry Mason never asked a question he didn't know the answer to.
Yeah.
And Derek knows the answer to this question.
Yeah.
Honestly, a good host should never not know the answer to the question
Derek,
he's asking.
Let me host on Friday.
He's holding it so he can come back
Derek,
and argue.
what do you think the difference is between Pollard and Dowdle right now running the ball?
Okay, I'm going to give you my opinion since you asked. I saw several plays in the game where I thought there were situations where he had opportunities. There were holes there.
Right.
I don't think he saw them. I don't know that he saw them in time. I do think it doesn't mean that the blocking was perfect, because I don't think the blocking was necessarily perfect on all of these, but I do think there were opportunities there on the table. And what I'm seeing that's different, in my opinion, is I think Dowdle is seeing the field really well, and when he sees that crease, he's through it. And there is no second guessing. I think there are two plays in particular that pointed that out for me for Pollard. There was one play near the end of the first quarter where I think he was kind of going to his right,
pressing the hole,
and there was a hole to his left, but he saw it a little too late, and he actually eventually tried to get back to the hole. He ended up getting 3 yards, but I think if he'd done that a step or two earlier, he has a lot of green grass. I mean, everything was blocked up on that play pretty well. I think he would have had a big play. And also on the play, Patrick and I were talking about it in the break, on the play there on the goal line that you mentioned where you thought that maybe Steele should have held that block a little longer. I actually personally think that play was designed like that, where Steele was to get to the second level, and the running back just needed to hit the hole. And if you go and watch it,
hesitation.
Yeah, he hesitated there. Pollard got the ball, he got to the hole, and he kind of took a step and just paused for a second and then went. And I think if he wouldn't have paused, if he would have just hit the hole, I don't think that defensive end would have had an opportunity to crash down hard enough to get to him, and he probably gets into the end zone.
How many of those happen? Like that,
it was only a few. It was only a few, but that's also the thing. When you're talking about the difference between the backs, right? You have a few plays in a game where everything gets blocked up perfectly.
Right.
And if you don't take advantage of those, then you're going to have a very pedestrian type day.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things on Tony Pollard's plate right now. And I think it, and I say it in a way of, he understands that he was a franchise tag player. And maybe he's pressing a little bit on some things. And is he patient enough for some of the, is he patient enough? Is he pressing the hole too quick? And there's really stuff that it's opening up to the left or to the right. And he's just not. He's just so anxious about, I got to get up, I got to get through, I got to, and backs do that. They get to the point where, and the blocking hasn't been great a lot of these snaps. I mean, he heavy box. They don't block the eighth guy. Who makes the tackle? The eighth guy.
Yep.
There was a time where Tony Pollard would make the first guy miss, and then he would be into this. It was Zeke Elliott averaging like 4 yards a carry last year. Tony Pollard averaging 5.5, and he's like, everybody was like, "Damn, can't you see it? One guy's quicker. One guy's making it happen. And now here we are, and now we're looking at Dowdle, and the example of like the flip play that went for 21 yards.
I was just looking at that play.
And you're kind of sitting there thinking, maybe Tyron Smith might have messed up, because what happened, everybody's stepping to their left but Tyron Smith. And you're going, whoa, did they just get away with one with Ojulari coming up the field? And then you got Dowdle makes him miss. And now you've got a 21-yard gain because you got Biotish up, you've got Steele up, you've got all these guys running interference. But Tyron Smith you don't know if did he go the wrong way? Was he supposed to get that guy? But
he did get to the second level and made the block on the second level. But he should have probably gone out.
Yeah, you could tell in the huddle. It's like Biotish hits him hey, you're supposed to be. They run into each other, and it kind of works out. But that's been the difference. Like with Rico, it's kind of like he's been able to make guys miss, and then when he gets hit, he's kind of spinning for extra yards and stuff like that, so it looks different. But man, there's times where Pollard, he does need to see it better, but there's also times where it is blocked by nobody.
Yeah.
And he's suffered because of that.
For me, it goes back to what we keep talking about. I mean, as this season rolls along, the RB1 throne comes with a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of dirty work, and it beats up on a guy. And so you're likely not going to see the 2022 or 2021 version of Pollard in 23. I think that's just not going to happen. But what's promising for Pollard is when you look at, the first half, he kind of struggled to get, 1 yard here, 2 yard here, but then he had a 12-yard carry in the third quarter, had a 14-yard carry. So I saw flashes of that explosiveness again. So it's in there. Difference being Rico, he comes in, he's fresh legs, and he's playing loose. He's playing loose football. So it kind of goes to what Brian is talking about. There's a mentality of it as well where Tony is the franchise. He's on a franchise tag. He's trying to do his best to play for a multi-year contract. And maybe he's pressing a bit and maybe he's overthinking it.
Yeah.
Not so coincidentally, though, Rico is on a contract year also, quiet as it's kept. I mean, he's only on a 1-year re-up, right? So he's playing to stay as well. But it's not the same. There are levels to this, right? When you're the franchise tag and you're going for franchise money, Rico is just trying to stick around. But he's like, I'm just going to play football. I've been waiting for this opportunity to be
It's
great.
his first opportunity,
right?
Really.
So he's fresher when he comes into games. He's playing more loosely, mentally, and his vision has just been slightly better than Tony Pollard. Like we're talking about, there are situations where you would like to see Tony Pollard feel this and hit that. Well, Rico comes in and theoretically in that same play, he sees that and he hits that. So that's why he's able to rattle off and average, 6.6 yards per carry yesterday. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a great thing to see that the Cowboys' rushing attack took a step forward yesterday. That gives you hope for what it could be going forward. But don't press it. Just continue to let it organically come, especially when you got guys like CeeDee Lamb going crazy and now Brandin Cooks is involved as well. I mean, let the passing attack be the passing attack. And then I think this is a perfect situation where in the Jason Garrett administration, as Brian likes to call it. I love that he calls it that. In the Jason Garrett administration and the Scott Linehan, era, it was established to run to set up the pass. Well, now Big Mike is out there establishing the pass to set up the run. And if that's what's working, and it clearly is, by all means, continue it.
Yeah, I think not everyone is meant to handle X amount of work, like an extra load of things, and it takes away from your focus and what you're best at. As an example, and correct me if I'm wrong. With my memory.
It was too easy. I wasn't going to. It was too easy.
Consider yourself correct.
It was too easy.
Don't worry.
You set yourself up.
I'll fire back at some other point.
I'm sure.
No, but remember when Mike was the one wearing the communication.
Green dot.
What is it called?
Green dot.
The green dot. And you could see his game being affected by it. And then that changed, and they took that away from him. So where I'm trying to get at, sometimes when you add something else that you have to do mentally, it messes you up where you don't have the same amount of concentration, and now that takes away from what you're good at. And maybe I'm just
there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure on him because they got rid of Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah. They moved on from Ezekiel Elliott. They said, you're the guy. Yeah. And now he's feeling the pressure of everybody in
with only a year to prove it.
And everybody in the world talking about the lack of a Cowboys running game. Could you feel that?
Do you think that this should be, especially watching what happened yesterday, do you think they should make it more of a, I don't know if it has to be 50-50 split, but give me more Dowdle, and maybe you'll get better out of Pollard because we talked about this last year a lot from the standpoint of a two-back system versus, just having one guy who's the predominant guy. I wonder if it should be the same thing this year, just with different names. Now it's Dowdle and Pollard as opposed to Zeke and Pollard last year.
I think they need to work on their perimeter run game more. I mean, because to me, inside run seems to be the problems that they're having, especially with Pollard. You saw yesterday the toss, the things where they can get the ball, the flip.
Yep.
If they could get Dowdle going downhill, he's a hard guy to deal with. That's going to be a 4 or 5 yard play. We'll see with Pollard, but Pollard looks more comfortable to me trying to navigate the edge than he does navigate guys inside. Mm-hmm. So I would try and focus more on, and then all of a sudden you get good at the perimeter game. Then now defenses naturally will stretch,
right?
And when they stretch, then your inside zone stuff and things like that you want to do start to become a little bit better.
Yep.
I mean, I agree that if you play Rico a bit more, then obviously unless it's two-back set, you're playing Tony a bit less, which
they did a little bit yesterday.
Right,
as well.
I was going to say, because the splits were almost even yesterday as far as the handoffs are concerned. But it also goes to contextually, what type of plays are attached to those reps for each individual player. So, for example, if you're Tony Pollard and the majority of your 12 to 15 touches are going to be the dirty runs up the middle, that's going to wear on you much more than if Rico's 12 to 15 touches tend to be off of the edge and getting him into space. So that has to be looked at as well. I think that's definitely a conversation to be had, but it's more of a robust conversation than just simply saying, okay, let's do a 15 to 15 split or a 20 to 20 split, 12-12. What types of plays? I would say mix those up as well, because Tony has shown over the course of his career that he can be explosive in space as well. So maybe it's saying, well, Rico, do more of these dirty work runs, and we'll share that load that way and kind of spread it around.
Bobby and I were doing a podcast this morning. I think Bobby said this, and I forgot to look it up. I'm trusting him. He said that Pollard was lined up as a wide receiver 12 times yesterday.
12. Wow. I thought it was only a few times, but
no, that's what Bobby.
12.
Bobby, do you have the position?
I
should know better than to trust anything Bobby Belt's telling me.
Love you, Bobby, but no,
leave Bobby alone.
No, but there was some. Bobby said there was
12 times
in the snaps. There were opportunities. 12. I felt that was a lot too. But
now he might also be talking about, because there were a number of times motions. There were a lot of times they ran empty yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
So Pollard was only running back on the field, but he was out. He was lined up out wide. So if he's talking about that, that makes sense.
I'm going to blame him if I'm wrong about this, because I think Bobby was told. But there were several times, at least I know, where he was lined up when they went empty, or they put him out there.
Yeah.
Out in the flat.
That's something we'll probably have to go back and chart on the film, because I hear what Bobby's saying. And Bobby is, love him to death. He's really good. As
He's
you know.
wrong, then. Is what you're saying.
Could be though, because based on what our next gen friends are saying, Rico lined out wide only one snap.
Not Rico. He said. I thought you said Tony.
Tony.
Okay.
Tony.
So let me go back and get Tony.
Yeah.
Talk it up.
Which again, I do think that's possible. I chart the games as they're going on, and I think Tony was lined up wide.
Yeah.
They went empty a lot yesterday,
right?
Which I was a little bit surprised at, but it's starting to become a regular part of their offense now. So it wouldn't surprise me if he was out there 12 times.
Okay. So there you go, Bobby. Right, 7 times.
Seven times. Okay.
Tony Pollard was.
He probably said 7, and I just added it up because I'm an idiot, that kind of thing. But yeah, 7 times.
7 times.
So that Jerry Jones talked about that on 105.3 The Fan, that maybe you were going to see something different formationally, scheme wise with Pollard, and that was the little nugget he threw you. So 7 times they threw him outside there. So.
Yep. All right, we appreciate you guys joining us. That's a wrap. We will be back tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit more big picture around the Cowboys, around the NFC East, and even the NFC. This thing is interesting, getting more and more interesting by the week. Minnesota rolling. All right, we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Till then, for Patrick Walker, Brian Broaddus, and Amber Garcia, I am Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.